Now we come to the last part. As Muslims, what are the main things that worries us? It's not about this world. It is that we're going to have Hisab Kitab, we're going to pass away one day. That is our concern. So when we draft a will, first thing, you got to identify yourself. You are Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so, you are a Muslim or Muslimah, and I think it's important you say you are a Muslim. Why? I personally have witnessed cases where people embrace Islam, right? They revert to Islam. Their body, the family did not want to give their body. We could not bury them in the Qabristan, in the graveyard. And there are Muslims there. We had to fight. Then about midnight, the body came. Yeah? So these are very, very important. Yeah? Recently, there was a case where a man got married to Ahli Kitab. Okay, he can marry, that's his Quran, no problem. But the wife now doesn't care about burying the body. Because the burying the body, which means she got to pop out 6,000-7,000 pounds. Cremation is 1,500 pounds. It's the economics of burying now. Do you understand? So if you highlight those things in your will, it's good. Now don't give a long khutbah in your will, please. At time I read some of the will, 2 pages of khutbah. You send that to the probate officer and say, what is this? That you can have it, give it to your children in a separate document. That you don't send to court. By all means, give advice to your children. The judge of the court is not interested in your khutbah. I've seen that. I say, what this man is doing? 2 pages of khutbah in his will, and then 1-2 lines. What to do? I don't say don't do it. Do it the right way. Understand you are not in Islamic State. You send that to the court will say, oh, we won't understand what you are saying. Yeah. Okay. So that is important. Number 2, revoke any previous will. Even you did not have a will, put it there that I hereby revoke all my previous wills and codicil signed by me. And this is my final will. Have a provision regarding your burial. Please, brother, this is what I'm saying. There are countries in Europe where you do not have a Muslim graveyard. There are countries in Europe. Alhamdulillah, in this country, Allah has blessed us. We have all those facilities. We got to make لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. We got to thank Allah for that. I'm going to add something on top of that. England is an island. Land is limited. The masjid committees must think seriously of having private graveyard. In Leicester, we are working on that. There are 2 masjids are working on that.
Garden of Peace.
Yes, okay. Because there is a limit council can give you land. Step back and think. Especially when cremation is under increase, we have about 300 crematorium in UK. 300. That gives you an idea how a big business it is. Why should we give Muslim to land? Right? So we got to think for ourselves. Right? You got to think of getting our own land. Of course, following the law of the land. I'm not saying to do things. No. Follow the law of the land, get the right license or whatever, right? Your burial is very important. Bury you as soon as possible. Why this is important, brothers? The hadith of Rasulullah. 3 things must be done ASAP. When a girl gets a good proposal, when a person passed away, and salah. You know about this hadith. Now often we have to go for post-mortem. And that delay, isn't it? It will delay. Now you can have, for example, MRI. Same doctor. It's easy. You don't have to do the post-mortem. You do the scanning. So you can make all those provision in your will. Maybe the masjid, I don't know whether in London you get MRI. You have it in London? No? Faizal. Come on, wake up a bit, you Londoners. You must talk to the government, the authority, and get one.
Have it,
No. Why we can't have it?
Yes.
Do you know by 2030, Muslim will be about 8% of the population of UK. According to some other projection, will be 10%. We're going to sit like this? Think what I'm saying. We can't sit like this and when I go, you go your side and No, we got to take decision what to do, how to resolve this problem. How many people are dying per day? How many people are dying per day? Yeah. Think about these are serious issues. Not because we are young, we're going to die in 30 years, we don't worry. Nah. Anytime we can do. We have seen the pandemic. Young people were dying, isn't it? So we got to be serious about it, of having, after talking to the authorities concerned, to have our private qabristan. I'm telling you, in Leicester, it's full, no place. We went to Preston, yeah, same thing. There's a limit the council will give you, and we got to be realistic with that. There are other communities as well. Why should we protect only the Muslim? You follow what I'm trying to say? So we got to take some precautions, certain responsibility as a community, buy some land, take the appropriate license, and how to run it, etc. You can brainstorm this session. Okay.
So how is organ donation and postmortem relevant to the will? What can you do in your will?
You say you don't, say for example, there's a postmortem, you say you don't want to be cut into pieces. You don't want to be resurrected in front of Allah, everywhere is cut with you.
See, the trouble is if you die and pass away in the hospital, there is not enough time for them to see your will, etc. They might have done it.
You can object. This is why if you have a will, your children, your wife, your spouse,
they should know about it.
If you don't have a will, of course you're going to end up like this.
Right. Same for organ donation. I think it is a separate process that you have to opt out.
Yes. The law is they can take your organ. Of course, your family and so on must approve. If you don't want, you got to opt out with NHS, but you can put it in your will. Not many people haven't. I've done it on NHS, but depend what your fiqh position on that. I don't want to go into those details here, right? Okay. A burial in another jurisdiction, that also is a big issue. Because they're going to burn your body, they're going to remove everything, it will cost money to transfer the body by the plane and all the stories. Do you want to do that? Some people are doing it for whatever reason. We got to think about it. Okay, next please. So first, identify yourself. Number two, revocation. Number three, your own body, your kafan, dafan, where to be buried, etc., your organ donation, whatever it is you want, you spell that. Next. Appointment of your administrator. As I mentioned earlier, if you don't administrate, you're going to have a problem, you're going to delay. The court will have to appoint one, okay? So make sure you appoint somebody, as far as possible, somebody who knows your thing, maybe your spouse, your son, who knows your assets and your liabilities, right? Make provision for two, because just in case somebody dies or he doesn't want to do it, there is plan B. So failure, Mr. A, Mr. B, I hereby appoint Mr. B to be my administrator. Next. If you have any debt, make sure you pay those debts. I've discussed on that enough, right? The question here is, if you got a zakat, just a brain teaser here, somebody owed you, right? And after you die, before your burial, that debt comes in your bank account, that money, do you pay zakat on that? Who pays zakat on that? I won't give you the answer, think. Also, have an appendix, because don't expect the executor to know all your debtors. Usually you put an announcement, you put on the newspaper, whatever, give you 3 months delay, whatever. But make it easy for them. Okay, next. After you finish all those things, then you write your bequest. You want your sadaqatul jariyah, you want to give an orphan, you want to give your kala, you want to give to masjid, whatever you want. This 1/3 is limited to 1/3. That you put it there. If you don't put it there, you won't get it. And I personally believe, my personal opinion, I'm not saying that in a bad way. After your death, you don't know what your heirs will do. Take your own precaution, create your own sadaqatul jariyah. Take my advice. You don't know what they will do with your money after your death. We make dua, we get good children, they will honor us. We don't know. Yeah. So take your own precaution, make your own sadaqatul jariyah, whatever you want. Okay. Yeah, okay, next. Bequest, next. Then after you finish it, so first identify yourself, revocation, your burial, your body, then your administrator, then debt. In debt, please, 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 brothers, many people don't realize it. If there is inheritance tax, or there is a tax assessment, make a provision because this will form part of your debt. You cannot distribute your estate unless and until you sort out your affairs with SLMCC. Understand what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying? So make a provision for that as well, right? You follow what I'm saying? If you die, the first person who have access to your estate is your tax people. They will get the money. There was a person, a child, he was playing with money and the coin went in his throat. The mother got panic, tried to save him. There was a man in the, was drinking his coffee, reading newspaper, he's relaxing. Nobody, he called the doctor couldn't take out the coin. The man came, he gave one shot at the back and the coin came out. The doctor said, how you did that? He said, I work in a tax office. Okay. All right. So then you put your Miras provision. Either you mention who receives what, or like they do in South Africa, there's no problem at all. You say that a certificate will issue by Jamiatul Ulama or Mufti so and so, whatever, who is an authority in that, and that will be considered as your wish. And that certificate is valid by the Master of the High Court in South Africa. In UK, I have not seen it, but technically, under the freedom of testation, it ought to be accepted. I don't know. I'm saying that with reservation, right? Now, this is very important when it comes to miras. Any will can be challenged. In this case here, Elot versus the Blue Cross and others went to appellate division, where a father clearly mentioned that his daughter is not going to get anything. The daughter took the matter to court, challenged the will, because she was financially not well off. She said that under the maintenance of the family, my father had a duty to look after me. He cannot give everything to this charity. The court, if my memory serves me well, awarded £200,000. So even though it was mentioned in the will, the court says no, what he's doing is not right. Because the maintenance of the family is an obligation on you. You cannot turn your back against it. There was another case I studied in South Africa where it was a Jewish family. The father said that you will tell the son, you will inherit provided you must marry somebody who is in our community. The son did not observe that. He married outside the community. So the executor said, look, you didn't observe what is there. She said, no. The matter went to court. The court says this is again the norm. You cannot dictate this person to who he must get married. So that clause was rejected by the court. So you got to understand those, how the court will look at it as well. Okay? So there are so many case laws I can raise in front of you. There's no time here. So as a general rule, you do have the freedom of testation, but there are some caveat to that. Yes?
You mentioned that case was in South Africa.
Yeah.
There's a difference between South Africa and England. So in terms of religion, culture and stuff like that,
I don't know. Do we have a case law on that in South Africa, in UK? I don't know how to research on that. I'm not so sure in the case of UK how to ask. Yeah. Okay, so this is a case. Now the question is, many people are worried about the miras issue. What some people do, mirror will, etc., etc. One of the ways I told people, if you want to do it, it's not an advice, it's just a suggestion. You go and see your professionals. I'm saying that with a caveat here. You can make a what you call a testamentary trust. You transfer everything that you have in a trust by the trust. The trustee must be somebody you really trust, okay? And you give him a letter of wishes what to do with what you, what to do with your estate. You call that a letter of wishes. Some lawyers do that as well. Okay. The danger with that is if the trustee is not honest, he takes everything, he goes away. Because the trust law, it is his. So you have to be careful also. Yeah. Yes.
Is there any Islamic clauses that can also be challenged legally using the law of the land? For
Yeah.
example,
Yes, it can be challenged.
So it's legally guaranteed. And even if we have a legally binding Islamic will, someone from a secular perspective can still challenge it and say,
Yes.
from a feminist perspective, but why is the man getting double the
Yeah, but you can challenge somebody who making the will in the name of his dog. People are giving their dogs. So anybody can make any will can be challenged.
Could that happen, and how can we insure ourselves against it?
I mean, first of all, I said earlier, the tarbiyat of the children. If tarbiyat is not made, I can't do anything. Once they understood that, this is ahkam of Allah, Allah is protecting you. I could have drafted a will giving you nothing. But the ahkam of Allah is giving you something. That's the first one. Right? Under English law, you can give a stranger everything under freedom of testation. Islam says no. There's a bare minimum you must get. Number one. Number two, before you die, if you feel that one of your child or children needs something extra, you can give donation, hiba, what you call hiba. During your lifetime, you can give donation. Number two. Number three, you can make the letter of wishes. Right? So there are many ways to solve this problem. This issue about the girl getting half and this and that, it doesn't stand. Because look at what the other people are doing. You will get the shock of your life. Their family don't get anything. Islam is guaranteeing you something. Right? So it depends how you present it to the judge and this and that. Yeah? Okay? Yes?
I think this provision you have to use to actually execute what Quran is telling.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is when it becomes an Islamic will.
So I
And
guess,
the divisions.
yeah, I mean, you mentioned the name of the heirs and so on. My only problem I have with that is, what if somebody died before you, one of your heirs? Then you have to recalculate it. Yes, the ideal position is what you are saying. You mentioned, okay, my wife will get this, my son Abdul will get this, my son Junaid will get this, my daughter Fatima will get this. That the ideal is very clear cut. That's the ideal solution. But if they die before you, that brings its own challenges. Right, okay. Right, next please. Protection of minors. Put in your will who you want to look after your children. Right? There are some fiqh issues there, ask your alim. Next. Residuary gift. Allah protect us, na'uzla min zalik. If all the family goes, a car crash, a plane crash, whatever, and there are no heirs, always put a residuary gift. In the case there is no heirs surviving me, I hereby donate all my estate to masjid so and so or whatever you want. You understand what I'm saying? Make it there. If there is no heirs, is there heirs? Of course, this floor doesn't. You call that a bona vacantia in law. Okay. So this one as a residuary gift. Put it there. Just a safety valve. If you don't put it there, what happens? The state takes it. Okay? So, why don't make sadaqatul jariyah with that as a provision? Yes? Okay, next. This one is a bit problematic. Usually there are disputes when it comes to money. Yeah? And children fight. If you want, I talked to a few lawyers and some judges. It's not a clear-cut area. Can you put an arbitration clause? The Arbitration Act of 1996 stipulates certainly few things you cannot arbitrate. Distribution of wealth and so on is not prohibited. And an arbitration is similar to a court, a quasi-judicial. When there must be a term of reference that the parties sign, and based on that you say, I want the arbitrator to judge according to Sharia, etc., etc. If they find Mr. So-and-so will give an award, it's not a judgment, you call it an award, and that award will be binding on the heirs. Will that be valid or not? I discussed with 2-3 senior counsel, some judges, they have the opinion, yes. Others say, how can you dictate from your grave what to do with other people's thing? That's a discussion. For me, I haven't seen a case law on that. There might be, I don't know. If anybody know, let me know. But I recommend people to put an arbitration clause, right? To mitigate unnecessary legal costs going to court and delay, you go on appeal. So poor guy, he had a one house Nobody's benefiting from the house for the last 5 years, 10 years. Why? Because they are fighting. So you put an arbitration clause, khalas. Hopefully it will stand. Next, please. Some malpractices to be avoided, donation versus inheritance. Our community, we tend to tell the child, you know, beta, when I die, this house is yours. Beti, when I die, this car is yours. No, that's not the way you do things. If you want to make a hiba, and the Hanafi fiqh specifically, there must be offer and acceptance plus qabza. If I want to give you this bottle of water, I say, I'm giving it to you as a gift, you must take it, and you say, I have accepted it. If you haven't said that, it's not executed. So verbal statement like fathers like to make, be careful with that. If you want to give, you want to transfer, make the necessary legal document, make it. You want to donate during your lifetime, you want to donate. It will not go in inheritance, do it properly. Business goes to sons without proper documentation and evaluation. That's also quite ugly, you know. We assume because the brother has worked with the father, he automatically takes the business. Where is the agreement between the father and the son to make that assumption? And the sisters don't get anything. On what basis are we making an assumption? Is there a contract? No, we cannot make assumption. So we must be careful. Matrimonial regimes, which I spoke already, lack of estate planning. Make sure if you are to die, you plan, okay, life expectancy in UK, it's approximately 84 now. Approximately. You're going to die in 20 years' time, start planning now. You don't know when you're going to die, Allah who knows, we don't know, but plan. Right? Plan. Who will get what, when, what amount, start planning it. You want to make donation, there's tax planning to make, because 40%. It's a lot of money. Within the boundary of the law, start doing, estate planning is one thing, estate tax planning is another thing. These are experts who do that. I'm not an expert in that. You must see the experts. No undeclared money or offshore accounts. This is very common. People got offshore account, yeah. The Pandora box, everybody knows about it. I don't want to talk about it. Yeah. So many offshore accounts. Be careful with that. And also make sure that if you don't declare money, when your children, when this will come into your estate, what will happen? The tax will increase more. One is an inheritance tax, one is a fine on it. You understand? So you've got to plan all those things properly. Yeah? No tax provision in case of assessments. People don't plan this, that there will be a liquidity issue. 40% of your estate. Say for example you got 2 million, 1 million is exempted. On the 1 million existing that your children will have will be 40%, which is £400,000. Where your children will get £400,000. So you got to plan this cash flow. No cash provision to support wife during her iddah or even the family. Create a small account on your wife's name, your children's name, because your account will be frozen. Yeah? So these are small things take into account. Now the chronological distribution of estate which we have done, the burial cost, hadith below indicates role of estate, but in absence of estate, this is what the hadith say, I have more right to the believer than themselves. Whoever dies living dead, it is upon me to pay it off, and whoever leaves wealth, it is for his heirs. So Rasulullah, as the head of the state, took the responsibility of it. Now in UK, that's not possible. You have to make some arrangement from the masjid level. There are so many masjids are doing that in UK, I know. So if somebody cannot afford it, the brothers must help, right? So the burial cost, which is about 6,000 to 7,000, I think, in London, I'm so sure. Then, if you got debt, as Hazrat Ali radiallahu anh, commenting on this ayat, wasiyatan yusa biha of dain ghairi mudar. So you see, wasiyat and dain. But dain come first. In the ayat of Quran, wasiyah is coming first. Then after that. But Ali radiallahu anh says that the Prophet ﷺ ordered payment of the debt before legacy. Debt is an obligation. Legacy is optional. So your debt comes before the wasiyah. So first you must pay your debt, and then you make the bequest, and then you make inheritance. There is a chronology there. Then you got inheritance. This is what some says. If you don't do it, then the prescription comes into play. Your heirs will get it. If there is nobody to take it, it goes, and there'll be problem, the state takes it. But if you make a residually gift in your provision in your will, at least if when you got no heirs, it can go for a good cause, right? Next, I think it's finished now. Now, 5 main considerations on time, just on time, alhamdulillah. The law of inheritance in Islam is based upon 5 main considerations. To break up the concentration of wealth in individuals and spread it out in society, number 1. To respect the property right of ownership of an individual earned through honest means. Number 3. To hammer in the consciousness of man the fact that man is not the absolute master of wealth. He produces it, he is trustee, and is not therefore authorized to pass it on to others as he likes. Because Allah, who is Al-Warith, one of the sifat of Allah is Al-Warith. He is the one who owns everything. So we got to observe, what we have is a trust from Allah. We got to manage it properly. The next one is to consolidate the family system, which is a social unit of Islamic society. When you look at the law of inheritance, it is based on 2 main things. One is called affinity, that is marriage. Number 2 is blood relationship. The closer the blood relationship, the more is a chance you will inherit. I have written an article on that as well. To give incentive to work and encourage economic activity as sanctioned by Islam. So this is the underpinning reason how the economic dynamism of law of inheritance is not about who gets what. There are a lot of philosophy behind it. I think it's finished now. Conclusion, failing to observe the Sharia rules leads to disobedience, while observing it leads to Jannah. However, one action that opens the gate of salvation is to ensure the deceased state is dissolved as per Islamic law. How to achieve it? Under UK law is your will, under the freedom of testation. If not, intestacy rules will apply. So, I just finished now. Jazakallah khair. I know it's a lot I have given, but inshallah, something will come. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakumullah khairan, Sheikh. We were supposed to begin the seminar sharp at 5 to have some question and answer at the end, but unfortunately the number of attendees were low, so we had this question and answer at the beginning. So I'm just quoting a hadith, the collections of hadiths including Sahih Muslim and Sahih Bukhari, reports that our beloved Prophet Muhammad said, "It is not permissible for any Muslim who has something to will to say, to stay for 2 nights without having his last will and testament written and kept ready with him." So everybody, as Sheikh said, must look at it and start planning from now. So Alhamdulillah, we are on time, and we ask now Ustad Furi to make a dua for us, inshallah.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك. رضينا بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم نبيا ورسولا. ربنا إننا آمنا بك فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار. ربنا توفنا مسلمين والحقنا بالصالحين. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم حبب إلينا الإيمان وزينه في قلوبنا وكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان واجعلنا من الراشدين. اللهم أكرمنا ولا تهنا وأعطنا ولا تحرمنا وآثرنا ولا تؤثر علينا وأرضنا وارض عنا يا أرحم الراحمين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا واغفر لآبائنا ولأمهاتنا ولأزواجنا ولجميع موتى المسلمين. اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا. اللهم إنا نسألك الجنة وما قرب إليها من قول وعمل، ونعوذ بك من النار وما قرب إليها من قول وعمل. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من خزي الدنيا ومن عذاب القبر ومن عذاب الآخرة. اللهم تقبل دعاءنا. اللهم توفنا مسلمين والحقنا بالصالحين. ربنا اجعلنا من عبادك الصالحين. اللهم تقبل دعاءنا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك، نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت، نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون، وسلام على المرسلين، والحمد لله رب العالمين، برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.